So my question is simple. I'm promoting this Windwork Basics class that starts on Tuesday, and you might be asking yourself, Renee, why do I need the wind? What? So what? The wind blows. I hate the wind. Uh, I just clean the yard and it makes a huge mess. But the question, still remains: is how can the winds help you? How can the winds help you navigate your life? How can the winds remind you of the innate magic inside of you? And how do you actually work with the winds? And so I think that I can see people here, but if any of my moderators are for the Wind Clan group are here, would you share this over to the Wind Clan, please? I thought I would start with a couple of practical applications. And the first application, and everybody can do this one. This is like so simple. And then I thought I would teach you the new Wind Zip Up, which even if you've taken wind work basics before, hey Leora, you have not probably learned the Wind Zip Up. So stay tuned because as the people who've been the apprenticeship and the Wind Mastery program know, that I keep getting wind downloads for the last 7 years. And for those of you who are new, this is Winds of Spirit. It's an award winning, and that's a Nautilus Gold award winning. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment. Hay House book, and it has its roots in ancient wisdom that had not been on this planet for the last 12, 14,000 years, or in this form. So many traditions, many tribes had heard the messages from the wind, and they actually either gathered their hypotheses and their stories around it. But there's never been a time that in our recent generations that has understood the innate connection of wind and spirit. In case you don't know, Holy Spirit, Ruach, they're wind, and even Om is a wind. In fact, I've been doing this mantra for the last 40 days, and because of what nice part about wind work is it goes with so nicely. It fits like a hand in a glove with a lot of other traditions. However, the so I'm doing the Om, and all of a sudden I'm reminded to myself, oh, Om, it's the energy of the wind. So if you do mantras and you think about, let's start with an Om. Come on out here if you're listening. Let's go. Om. Now let me show you the wind whistle. And if you start to listen carefully to the wind outside, you're going to start to hear, oh, there is an absolute hum of the wind. And trust me, all of these founders of these major religions and organizations could see it, could hear it, knew it. I mean, because the Inuit, they could listen to the wind. They would know when it was time to travel from the tundra to their summer home where they would do their gardening. Little, I'm sure it wasn't quite that easy. Or that deer understand that when the wind blows, they turn around, and hunters have known to listen to this message as well. There's the whole Finnish story about Ilmarinen, the inventor wind god who could pull whatever he wanted from the smithy. Tate, the wind father of the Lakota, who sent all of the wind brothers to different corners of the sky when they were disagreeing over something. So throughout time, we've learned to organize our consensual reality based in these cardinal wind directions. But this wind work takes it a whole step further. And let me just show you a simple way. So I created this book called Winds of Spirit, or actually, I listened to the winds, and I spent many years writing this book. And then, as I became a true wind believer, and that is what happens is that for years, since I was 20, 40 years, I was seeking spirit. I was looking for it under rocks and mountains throughout the Andes, all over the world. I went hunting for the wind. And well, I didn't know I was hunting for the wind. I was hunting for the spiritual experience. And then when I found the wind, all of a sudden these spiritual experiences happened daily. And then I'd say, oh, I can't believe that just happened. And my friend would say, well, when are you going to start to believe this? And sure enough, over the last 7 or 8 years that I've been working with these wind spirits, the things that I've wanted to create in my life magically manifest. I still have to do the day-to-day work, but they seem to just, come in on the on Thing Popo, the Thing Popo's tiger, or and the truth is so much of our mythology, so much of our creation is founded at the wind, and the wind was there at the creation stories. So as we learn to work with the wind, we can learn to start to call these wind energetics in to actually help with our lives. And that's what we learn to do in this Wind Work Basic course. It begins on Tuesday. All right, so right now I'm going to pull a wind spirit card. Oh, this is how the wind works. So if those of you who've been listening for a couple of minutes heard me talk about Tate, the Lakota Sioux wind, is the messenger. And it's about listening with your heart. And the story goes that the brothers were all in one inipi, one sweat lodge. And then a beautiful wind goddess came along, and let's take it. They give you little tips now. Share. Okay, we're going to share this to the shaman's cave. We'll share it to the windwalker's cave. All right, so they come right in the middle and tell you to share your message. So we were talking about Tate, the wind god, the Lakota messenger, about listening with your heart. And what does that mean to listen with your heart? Well, if you listen mostly with your head, then you're buried your head in the book. And you haven't gone outside for a wind walk, which is a wind walk is when you actually leave the house, ask the wind a question, and then the wind will give you some guidance. So the story of Tate is all the brothers were in the Inipi, and they were fighting over this. Well, it's a very patriarchal story. So they were fighting over this woman wind, and they couldn't get along. So the father sent them all. Tate sent them all to each quadrant of the sky, which is how we got a wind in the east, a wind in the south, a wind in the west, and a wind in the north. Well, that's one story. That's one way one indigenous tribe heard the messages about the wind and put them into their culture and their traditions. However, the wind was there long before anyone started to hear it. The wind was there at the creation. In our advanced work, we talk about the dynamic processes of creation, where we actually learn to use these dynamic processes of whether they're chaos or process order or partnership with nature or oppositional forces or gestation. And we learn to use those creative dynamics of the wind to manifest. The wind becomes the alchemy between taking this idea into form. And Windwork Basics is the first course that we take in that. So we've called to Tate. He's the Lakota messenger, and we're talking about listening with the heart. So what I would like to do is give you an experience of listening with your heart. And what we're going to do is we're going to use Tate to help us do a wind zip up, which is a form of protection. And what you do is you pull a wind strand from your sacral up to the top of your spin, your crown chakra. Well, it's not the top, but some point over the top of your head in each direction. So we're going to actually we're going to invite Tate. We're not going to use Tate. We're going to cooperate with Tate to do this wind spin and actually see if we can feel the energy from our heart as we call to Tate, the messenger of the heart, to help us create more safety, more protection. There's a lot of negative energy out there, some boundaries in our life for this simple exercise. Because what I'm curious is do you feel the wind? Do you have a relationship with the wind? What is your relationship with the wind? And if you have a relationship with the wind, perhaps you want to come over to the Windwork Basics. All right, so That's nice. Or telling me tips while I'm trying to tell you a wind story. That's the difference between how we listen to the wind out in nature with no Facebook Lives and how we are now with Facebook Lives. Not that only we can reach to all of our brothers and sisters and theys around the world, we can also learn ancient wisdom tools that have really monumental bearings for our life today once you start to do it. And you can go over to the Wind Clan and ask any of the wind believers, what are the why would I take the wind work? What magic has happened for you? Okay? So the magic that happened for us on this call was out of the blue. I picked Tate as the wind I started to talk about. And sure enough, when I reached into the wind sack to get a wind, it was Tate. And you can get these wind spirit cards. There's a wind spinner over at the Wind Clan that you can use anytime. But you can also go to my website, thepracticalshaman.com, and right on the front page you can sign up and get a free copy of these wind spirit cards so that you can cut them up, put them into a bowl, and start working with these wind spirits for yourself. There's no more gurus. I'm not a guru. I'm a fellow Wind Clan member and a wind believer who started to see how listening to the magic of the wind has started to help me organize my life, organize my spiritual life, and has created wealth and abundance in my life beyond my wildest dreams. Like my family's back, I've got a job of my dreams. The Wind Clan is growing around the world. We're sending a wind whistle to Singapore this week. I mean, it just happens that way. All right, so let's call to Tate. And remember, we're going to do a wind spin. So if you're joining late, a wind spin is a way of putting a protective bubble around you. So we're going to start in the east, and I got a nice spinny chair. And we're going to call to Tate. We're going to breathe in. We're going to hold it. And as we breathe out, we're going to pull a strand from our sacral to above our head with Tate. Then we're going to turn to the south. We're going to turn to the west, and we're going to turn to the north, and we're going to do our wind zip up. All right. Are you ready? Breathe in. Hold it. And zip with Tate up from your sacral to the top of your crown. And then face the south. And again, breathe in. Hold it. And then have Tate draw that line from your sacral up to the top, creating that invisible wind line. And turn and face the west. And we're breathing in. And we're asking for Tate to help us draw that invisible line from our sacrum up to our crown. And we're going to turn to the north and do it again. But I don't want to have my back to you, so I'm going to imagine that that north line is going to come up from my sacral all the way up. And then in the wind zip, you give yourself a spin around. Hopefully you're out on the grass when you're doing this. And this is a little simple exercise that you can do every single day to protect yourself before going out where all of these things are coming at you, and so that they start to bounce off your energy field. So you created a wind energy bubble around yourself. And today we use the wind god Tate, and you can, reach into your wind sack and pull out any wind. And as I said, you can get them for free over at the Practical Shaman, or if you're, get a little more serious, you can buy a set. And then if you want to know about Tate, you can go to the back of Winds of Spirit. And since we started in the east, let's go right to the east and read Tate in the east, so you can kind of see the kind of wisdom that comes along with each wind. So a new day is dawning when Tate sends Yanpa, the east wind, to greet you. If your senses are properly attuned, you will receive a clear, powerful vision. In the same manner that the sun energizes and illuminates the sky, complex ideas will become easy for you to comprehend. Work with this wind to highlight the essential and to avoid diversion and distraction. Take time to devise your plans in silence. Solitude and secrecy are called for, so keep your ideas to yourself. Okay, so I don't see any questions over here in the chat, but please, if you put questions in the chat, I will be happy to answer them. I'll put the link to the Windwork Basics right in here in the chat. And if you join us, we start Tuesday at 3:30 Pacific Daylight Time. It goes for 4 Tuesdays in a row. There's 2 meetings a week, one with me and then one with Carrie Wanamaker, one of the Wind Mastery Advanced students, who will be doing an integration. So on Tuesday, I'll explain, and then she'll help you put them into practices in your life. All right, well, if you got this, you like the wind, I'm going to play it one more time. Maybe you can, I want you to listen really carefully to see if you can hear the sound of Om in this wind blessing. I'm going to play it one more time. Can you feel the sound of Om emanating from your heart? Thank you. When I asked about feeling it, I could feel it flood around, and hopefully that it touches you in a way like Tate, the messenger, advising us today to listen with our hearts. All right, I'm Renee. I'm the Practical Shaman. I hope to see you all over in the Windwork Basics, at least in the Wind Clan. So we'll talk to you soon, and have a wonderful day, and really start to practice that wind zip every day and see how it feels. And let me know.